A lot of contractors are nervous right now. Lead flow feels different. Homeowners are hesitating and some companies are starting to panic. But, honestly, good because a weak system gets exposed. In markets like this, weak leadership gets exposed and weak sales processes get exposed. And the business owners who actually know what they're doing finally separate themselves.
Yeah. And the funny part is the companies that handle this season correctly, they're probably going to build more long-term momentum over the next 12 to 18 months than they did during the easy years. And today we're going to break this down exactly how.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fitz and Franson show. Real quick, before we get started, we want to take a moment here to send out a big thank you to everybody supporting the show right now. We recently hit a huge milestone, and we're actually over 1,000 followers across all of the different platforms we're on, which is honestly pretty cool and very humbling for Jay and I.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because, we feel like on our end, this is still pretty early and seeing business owners, leaders, salespeople, and more connecting with these conversations that Fitz and I are having, it means a lot to us.
Yeah, definitely. So, look, we're building this thing from the ground up and we've got some big plans for where we want to take it. So if these conversations are helping you out all out there, and that's a really cool thing for us. The biggest thing you can do to help is, like we ask at the end of every episode, is subscribe and share the show, and send those clips to people that you think might need some of those words and stories we're sharing. So comment and all the other things that go along with it. That helps a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, it does. And stuff, it matters more than a lot of us realize. The way algorithms work, interacting with our content helps us grow, helps us reach more owners, and helps us keep having bigger and better conversations.
All right, Jay, enough of the sappy stuff. You ready to get into today's episode?
Let's do it.
All right, man. So today's episode is probably one of the more important conversations we've had in a while because I think a lot of contractors are feeling a little bit of that pressure right now. And honestly, Jay, I think some people are maybe pretending they're not.
Yeah. Yeah. You can hear it in conversations. You can see it in marketing. I can see it in marketing. You can feel it in desperation on phone calls. All of a sudden, companies are throwing giant discounts everywhere. Ads maybe feel a little bit more panicky. And there's more of the buy now before it's too late type of ads out there. And when this starts happening, a lot of times it means that owners are reacting emotionally instead of strategically.
Yeah. So this is where I want people listening to really pay attention because easy markets they hide bad business and easy markets can cover up weak leadership. They certainly, cover up maybe a terrible follow-up game, and easy markets, unfortunately, they can cover up lazy salespeople too,
Yeah.
right? But I think one of the things we talk about here a lot is systems, and I think easy markets are absolutely going to cover up those broken systems that are out there. When leads are flying in every day, you can get away with really being average, right? But when things slow down just a little bit, now we get to find out who can actually run a business, who can actually operate things.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've been running leads for the home improvement industry for 6, 7 years now. And so we really saw the COVID boom. And yeah, that was an accident. My kids are like, no, Dad, no. I
My
didn't mean
dad,
to say 6, 7.
mine would be disappointed if I didn't do it, man.
Yeah. That's awesome. But we really, over the last several years, more and more conversations about, oh, it's getting harder. There's more competition, stuff like that. But honestly, I think that in the long run, this is probably healthier for the industry.
Yeah, I would tend to agree, because look, for the last several years, like you said, things were a little bit easier. And if we're being honest, there were probably companies out there that were growing that really had no business doing so, right? They had no systems, they had no accountability, no operational consistency, really, maybe no understanding of marketing attribution or no customer experience process. They just happened to exist during a very active buying cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen in the last 5 years, I've seen more companies than I'd like to talk about go out of business.
Hmm.
And their comments were, I don't know what went wrong. And it's like, well, do you know what your close rate is of your sales team? Do you know what your cost per lead is? And they just didn't have an awareness of how that business should have been run. So, and on the flip side of that, homeowners are more careful, which means that trust matters. It matters more than ever. Clarity matters more. Reputation matters more. Follow up matters more. I tell every single customer I talk to, what are you doing with your Google business profile? Are you responding to your reviews? Are you chasing reviews? Are you building that trust? And so, to be honest, people that aren't doing that, I think that those people are actually benefiting the companies that are doing this stuff correctly.
Yeah, and look, I think this is really important too, right? So this episode is really not about the doom and gloom, right? I know it probably started off a little bit that way. And we're not
Mhm.
here predicting like a big recession or anything along those lines, and we're not here trying to scare people. We're certainly not trying to say the sky is falling. Like
Yeah,
what we are saying is this: if you are a real leader, a real business owner, this can be one of those kind of big windows of opportunity type moments, right? That
yeah,
probably one of the biggest ones you've had in years.
yeah, yeah. Because, and we'll keep saying it, markets like this, they create separation.
Yeah, the companies that stay disciplined right now, those are the companies that are going to own the market share later. Not the loudest companies, not the cheapest companies, certainly not those companies screaming discounts online every day, but those disciplined companies.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the biggest things we're seeing right now is homeowners slowing down emotionally, actually, oddly enough, before they slow down financially.
Yeah, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of how it works. Consumers, they start hearing uncertainty everywhere. On one of our previous episodes, I mentioned that back in, I think it was March, the two biggest queried words on Google were war and gas prices.
hmm
If you guys remember that happened a few months ago, right? Still remnants of it. And so even if they personally still have money, even if they still want to do a project, they're becoming more cautious. This means that they start asking questions like, can I trust this company? Or is this worth it? Or are these people professional? Will they actually communicate? And the contractors who can answer these questions correctly, they're still winning.
Yeah, that's a great point because homeowners I think aren't when you really dig into that they're not just buying like a roof or coatings for example or even windows or siding, right? They're I think what they're really looking for, what they're really looking to buy is certainty, and uncertainty in the marketplace actually increases it increases the value of trust.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny. If it's just talking about this made me think about over the last, 5 months, I've had multiple customers come to me that are established and doing things right, powerful partners. They're having best months ever this year. And I'm talking about great organizations. They have systems in place and they have great people working for them. And so we also have other types of partners with Powerful where they're coming to me saying, oh, this is horrible. What am I going to do? So this is, to be honest, this is where a lot of contractors screw this up. They can accidentally think that a slower market means lower the price, but usually Fitz, that's the wrong move.
I think almost always it is because if your first response is to, what I would refer to as like panic discounting, what you're really telling the homeowner is we don't know how to communicate value, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And now this is interesting too, is you actually train the market to wait for the next discount.
Yeah, for sure. And that becomes a really dangerous race, right? That you're eventually going to lose. So here's another thing I think contractors truly need to hear, right? Your marketing matters more during slower markets, right? Not less.
Music to my ears, Fitz. I love it when you talk that way.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Honestly, this is where companies disappear because the first thing emotional owners cut is visibility.
Yeah, I think we hear it from time to time, right? Or at least some variation of it, right? They go, let's pause marketing, right? Which is basically like saying our answer to a slower demand is to become invisible.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said the word earlier, market share. What do you think happens to market share when you quit spending? Certainly
Mhm.
doesn't go up. And in marketing space, that void is always filled with someone else that's willing to spend.
Mhm.
So that would mean that meanwhile, disciplined companies, they're increasing trust building content. They're posting more. They're educating more, they're showing jobs, they're showing process, they're showing reviews, they're building the authority.
For sure. Look, people didn't stop going online during this time, right? And
Yeah.
homeowners are watching more than ever. They're watching all of it, even when they might not be commenting on it.
Yeah, yeah, especially right now, because homeowners they're researching harder than ever. And one thing I think contractors underestimate is that people are looking for stability. If your company feels chaotic online, homeowners assume your operations are chaotic too.
I think that's a huge point, Jay, because your content, I think, really is your sales process now. Before someone ever fills out a form or picks up the phone, I think they're actually doing or starting their evaluating process or evaluation process, right? They're looking at how do you communicate, how your team acts, whether you feel trustworthy or whether you feel established.
Yeah, yeah, that's another reason to don't turn advertising off. When people are like, "I haven't seen them for a while. Are they even still in business?" That's showing, uncertainty. So,
Yeah,
this is and to that point, Fitz, this is exactly why we keep telling our contractors, take your content seriously.
dear God, please do, please do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And every piece of content really should be with purpose. It should reinforce trust, competence. Competence is a big one. Consistency, leadership, proof. Social proof is huge,
Mhm.
especially in these slower seasons.
Yeah, and I think what's funny is a lot of companies, I think, accidentally expose themselves online, right? You
Yeah,
you end up seeing maybe some of the panic that they're feeling right now. You see that desperation, and it's same as like a homeowner can feel from a sales rep in the house. They can feel it from your presence online too.
yeah, yeah, they absolutely can. And honestly, Fitz, I would say that homeowners today are incredibly good at sensing confidence versus instability.
For sure, right? Confidence, I don't think it comes across as loud. I think a lot of times confidence is more like a presence of calm, right?
Yeah, 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 and that calm the companies can create wins trust.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So let's break this down practically, like we tend to do. If I owned a contracting company right now and things started to maybe slow down slightly, here's maybe the first thing I would look at. Not the leads. So you're off the hook here, Jay. I'm going to look at my sales process.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
I
on
figured
board
you
with
might.
that.
Yeah, sure. I figured you'd say that, right? But look, I think the reason I'm going to do it that way is because most companies they truly don't have a lead problem in most cases,
Yeah,
right? Some of them do, right? I think what they have more so though at times is a conversion problem.
yeah.
During busy years that they might not have noticed that they had a conversion problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that what's being revealed is this is probably one of the biggest hidden issues that's been in the industry.
Typically what we see like when things slow down like they might have slowed down for some out there, company will go, man, we need more leads, but when you actually like dig into it and you look closer, what you start to realize is that maybe like the follow up or speed to lead is inconsistent at best, right? They're showing up like late to the phone or what have you. They're quoting emotionally, like over discounting and like
Yeah.
panicking like we're talking about here. They're not building urgency in their process in any way, shape, or form. They're certainly not creating any kind of trust. Or like I think even worse, their salespeople are different. They sound different. They present different from one appointment to the next. And really nobody owns a process because there is no process in any part of the business at all.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that, talking about the bigger picture, so operationally, the back end is usually disconnected too. Marketing doesn't know what sales is hearing. Sales doesn't know where leads came from. Ownership doesn't know which campaigns actually produce revenue. So when the marketing tightens up, that chaos that we talked about earlier gets exposed really fast.
You know what? I think truthfully here, that's a gift. I know it might not seem like it, but it is because now what you get the chance to do is you actually get the chance to fix the real problem. All right. So I think if you're cool with it, let's dive into our hot take for the day. Is that cool?
Yeah. Yeah, let's
All
do
right.
it.
All right. So every time business slows down, everybody starts blaming the leads, which let's take a minute and do that for just a second, Jay, if we could.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, let's do it.
All right. So the leads suck.
Yep,
Marketing
heard
isn't
that.
working, right?
I've heard
Okay.
that.
All right. Yeah. And appointments aren't qualified, man. You're just not
I've
doing
heard that
anything right.
too.
Okay. Maybe. Okay, and I'm gonna take my foot off your neck here for just a second, maybe, but
Mhm.
most of the time, I would say the leads aren't the entirety of the problem or the problem at all, right?
Yeah.
The problem is sometimes, or what we find a lot of times too, is that the reps got comfortable when business was easy. When
Yeah.
leads were flowing, they stopped following the process. They skipped steps or got lazy with follow up, or the process in general. And the problem is they still got paid because there was always another lead coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that abundance was hiding bad habits. And now that things have
Mhm.
tightened up, those habits are getting exposed. And instead of looking in the mirror, everyone is blaming the leads, calling Jay and yelling at Jay, right?
Yep.
And honestly, that's more of a leadership problem than it is a lead problem. If the reps weren't following the process when times were good, leadership should have fixed it then.
Yeah. I love that you said abundance hides bad habits. Even internally on my team, and this, we talk about leadership and management. It's the leader's role to make sure the team keeps their eye on the prize.
Hmm.
And we talk every week internally about the value of one more appointment.
Yeah.
What does it mean to get one more? And if I ever have a team member say, well, I hit 10 appointments during my shift,
Hmm.
that's a huge problem to me.
Yeah.
I go, that's not how we operate. That's not what we do.
Might even
So
take it a
really,
step might even take it a step further, Jay, and say that abundance can also create bad habits, right? So,
yeah.
you heard the term fat and lazy, right? Like that
Mhm.
I think sometimes we see that as well, right? Not only is it hiding it, but it's either reinforcing it or giving you opportunity to create them too. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. Great markets create a lot of fake salespeople. Shoot,
Mm.
it creates a lot of fake marketers. When you don't know that the market's just ready to go and you turned an ad on and it created results, you think you're a marketer. And so when opportunity is everywhere, it's easy to mistake activity for skill. So, a lot of the best leaders, they don't wait for things to get tough to enforce standards. They coach the process when times are good because they know eventually the market will tighten. It always does. We know this historically. And when that happens, the companies that win aren't the ones with the most leads. They're the ones that built the best habits.
I don't know if you saw my face, but the fake salespeople comment
Yeah.
that probably hits close to home for some people out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I've talked to a lot of dealers where they're like, I don't know what happened to my sales guy. It was working and now it isn't.
Mm,
What do I need to do with my sales guy? Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. That stuff is revealed. So the reality of it is really, when business is easy, you can tolerate that operational debt. But when things slow down, that debt comes due with interest.
mm.
And so this is where we need to draw that line. If you don't pay down that operational debt now, the market's going to collect it for you.
Mm. Yeah. So look, I think we're just scratching the surface here, Jay. But in our next episode, we're going to give you that exact tactical blueprint, I guess we'll call it, to out operate the slowdown. We're going to break down 3 real world AI applications that
AI.
we're using to close deals right now, or help people close deals, and we're going to give you a live role play of how to handle the it's too expensive price objection, or maybe one or two others out there, without losing a
Mhm.
single point of your margin along the way. So you definitely don't want to miss that one.
Yeah. Yeah. That one's going to be good. I'm excited. So if you're feeling the squeeze, make sure you tune in.
All right, guys. If this episode hit home for you, tough, right?
Yep.
That's why we're here. But if you could do us a favor, like the video, subscribe, share it with another colleague out there that might need to hear it as well, and drop a comment below. Let us know maybe what one of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now, and hopefully it's something we can build an episode around. We do read all those comments. Thanks, Jay's mom, for all those
Yeah.
comments that she puts in there.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom. Yeah. Remember, if you guys want sales coaching or training for your team, book a call with Fitz on our website, powerful.com.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're running a home improvement company out there, or a sales team of 3 or more, and you want some marketing help, check us out on Powrful.com. Be happy to do an audit for you and see where you might have some opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay relentless out there.
Ooh, I like it, Jay. Always a pleasure, sir. I appreciate you guys. Happy hunting, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Now get back to work.